episode of the Buckeye Blitz podcast. And I hope you guys had a good weekend. I hope you enjoyed the game on Saturday. It definitely was a coming out party for the offense, so good news there. I liked just about everything I saw, so we're going to break that down, kind of go over what we saw live, what I felt like maybe we could do a little bit better. And then Friday, as usual, I'll do my Buckeye Friday preview for um, the Notre Dame game. So thanks for taking a listen. If you have questions or comments, you guys, I know a lot of you aren't afraid to use the DMs on Twitter, so please feel free to do that, or you can drop a comment on the YouTube channel itself, and I'll get back to you. I'll circle back to you either on the channel or I can answer your question on the show. So thanks for the constant questions I've been getting, and I appreciate all of you. And it's been great to interact and learn where more of you are at and what you think and how you feel about the team. So thank you for those. So my first thought of the game was the officials were absolutely horrendous again. So Mike Hall and JTT were basically held on every single play. The right guard for Western Kentucky, I don't remember his name. I should have written it down. Like, he held on to Mike Hall and basically just went for a ride every time Mike Hall was in there. And there were some egregious holding penalties in that game that were not called. And I realized we didn't need any help, and I think they were kind of letting things just play. But man, oh man. I don't even have words, to be honest with you. So offensively, I felt like we graded out at an A minus. Coach Day looked like he let it loose a little bit more on Saturday than he has in some of the other games. So he didn't call quite as tight of a game as you noticed. McCord looked much better, much better, much more composed. He looks like he's comfortable. He's letting it fly. And it's almost like the monkey's off his back. He knows it's his team. That decision's been made, and now he can just be himself. And that's what I was trying to get them to do in going into the YSU game was, hey, let's name him the starter. Let's make sure he knows it's his team. Make sure he knows if he makes a mistake, he's not going to get yanked off the field. Because you can see when the kid gets in there and gets comfortable, he's fine. So I don't know if there's much more to say about that, really. He made good decisions. I saw a couple of minor issues, with footwork, and, there was one where he was backpedaling, and he ended up throwing a touchdown anyway because his arm talent overcame that. I just don't want it to become a habit, because CJ used to do that. He would be backpedaling and then trust his arm, and it could definitely get you in trouble, especially in the red zone. So the offensive line, I'm not as concerned about our run blocking as I was before Saturday, but I won't be tricked either, because Western Kentucky is not a great run-stopping team. I liked seeing Hinsman and Fryer and Matthew Jones blocking downfield. They were getting to the second and third level. There was many times where I saw Hinsman just like sprinting down the field, just looking for someone to block in the secondary. Having that type of production and tenacity will be key going forward. I don't think they'll have any problem getting up for this game. I just wonder, was this a talent thing? Was this, did they just realize they needed to take it up a notch? I don't know what changed from Indiana till Western Kentucky, other than Ryan Day letting it loose a little bit, us having the ball more, the other team not trying to bleed the clock every possible second off the clock. There were a lot of things, but I like what I saw. I thought overall, the line played better as a whole, and honestly, their pass blocking was pretty decent. Donovan Jackson had probably his best game of the season this week. If you'd ask me, I still think I think, being sandwiched between Hinsman and Simmons. He was trying to help, and I think it was getting him out of position, just what I could see. Hinsman did have a couple low snaps. McCord, fortunately was able to salvage them, but he's playing really well for redshirt freshman, and he's going to be a good one. Matt Jones, again, solid as a rock. Love Matt Jones. It's so good to see him healthy because he played through a lot of injury last year. Josh Fryer continues to show how athletic he is. More reps will make him more efficient. That's really what I'm going to say. He had a fantastic game, but the more he plays, the better he's going to get, and the more comfortable he'll get at right tackle. Simmons, again, I still say for me, the jury's still out. He seems like he's still just mentally processing the game. It just seems like he's just a little bit slow. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's just like his brain is getting in the way of his feet, but I think it's because he switched sides. And he's going to get better. He's already gotten better. And I really do hope that they use either G. Scott or Chip Trainum or Cade Stover on third down obvious passing downs to give Simmons a little bit of help on the edge, because I think it will prevent disaster. Let me put it like that. Skill position wise, you know what we got. Marv is fast. That long touchdown with like 75 yards was a thing of beauty. If McCord hits him in stride, it's even prettier. Actually Marv had to slow up just a smidge to get the ball. So they finally used the pop pass, and let's use it some more. They had a couple end rounds to stretch the field, use our elite speed and elite talent. And I think you'll see some of that, especially some screens, wide receiver screens. I think you'll see some this week as an additive to the running game. Cade Stover is absolutely a passing threat, and he had a really good game receiving. I still have questions on his blocking assignments. I don't know, like, if it's technique, if it's just understanding where to go. There was a couple times he just ran by where he was supposed to be. He's late to a lot of the points of attack, and quite honestly, Julian Fleming is better on the outside blocking than Cade Stover is right now, and so is G. Scott. So I don't know, and it's not a question of effort, because that's never a question with Cade Stover. I think it must be just an understanding of the tight end position and what's required. Going from linebacker to defensive end to linebacker and tight end, and then back to I think he's just he's in his second full season as tight end, and I think that's what you're seeing a little bit of. Again, I have been highly critical of Julian Fleming, but I can see why he's still wide receiver 3. Like, that guy can block, and he blocks well on the edge. He's doing everything they're asking him to do, and quite honestly, he probably, because of that, deserves to be out there. But I do think Carnell Tate absolutely needs to see playing time. He is dynamic, and if that throw from Devin Brown didn't show that, I don't know what will. But the guy, he's the next one. Like, he's open every time I see him on the field. I definitely want to see maybe a little bit more out of Emeka Egbuka on quick, short slants, because I think that if you remember the hitch at the near the goal line at about the 10-yard line, that he just hitched up, caught the ball, and then bam, he was in the end zone. That's what he's good at, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of I can't remember his name, Cooper Kupp. It's kind of who he reminds me a little bit of, and I think that he could be used in that way. Trey Henderson looks like he's back, but I think we need to use him in space. He did a good job Saturday of dancing with the intent of letting his blocks set up to find the right hole. However, when you get against equal talent, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, Georgia, so on, that extra half second you took probably leads to a loss of yardage. So he does need to hit it and go. But we'll see. He did, but I thought he did a better job on Saturday of not just dancing and waiting for no apparent reason. Again, I'm begging Ryan Day, please stop doing stretch runs into the short side of the field, right into the boundary. It doesn't work. Train him. Deserves every carry he gets. Honestly, on Saturday, on his 40-plus yard touchdown run, when that hole opened up and he popped through it, he looked like Ezekiel Elliott, the way he popped through that and the way his hips flipped and he split the defenders. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the Oregon championship game a few years ago. So the running game, again, I think it's coming together. The offensive line run blocked better. They're going to need to use Chip and Mayan both. Um, you know, pound on Notre Dame's front four, or front seven, and grind them down a little bit. It will help in the end. Um, and my last question, and this is something I wish somebody would ask today: what did Dallin Hayden do to this staff? Because that game was well in hand, and I saw Evan Pryor get some carries. Xavier Johnson got some carries out of the backfield. Like, what is going on with Dallin Hayden, and why are they so mad at him? Oh well, just a question. Because Dallin Hayden actually won a couple games for Ohio State last year, Maryland game included. So defensively, graded out an A. Almost gave him an A plus, but the first 10 minutes of the game probably prevented that. These guys were playing with a chip on their shoulder, and I'm here for it. They're fast, aggressive, coming downhill. They're smacking people in the mouth, and they're not letting up. JT Tuimoloau probably had his best game since last year's Penn State game. I actually think that in my mind, if I were Larry Johnson, I would strongly think about switching Tuimoloau and Sawyer on sides. I think Sawyer being a strong side defensive end and letting JTT flip to the other side, especially on pass downs, might be a great thing. Just me. Because I noticed when Tuimoloau lined up on their right tackle, man, he was a wrecking crew the whole game, anyways. But Sawyer had more pressures than JT Tuimoloau did on Saturday. Um, Denzel Burke is playing at an All-American level. Wow, like if you'd have asked me at the start of the year who I thought the best corner was going to be, my answer had been Davis Igbinosun. But right now, Denzel Burke, the way he's playing, the way he's tackling, the way he's covering, he is all over the field, and he's a tone setter. And at corner, that's a good thing, folks. Tommy and Steele are freaking unreal, man. Wow, I hope people are starting to appreciate them, because I feel like, you know, the first year, maybe, especially under Kerry Combs, people didn't appreciate them, but it was really just the scheme, because those guys are smart, they're intuitive, they're quick to the ball, and they are making plays everywhere. Steele had that pick, but he got the pick because he was in the right position. He had a couple great plays behind the defensive line, and Tommy cleans everything up that comes his way. And by the way, I gotta throw this out there: Jordan Hancock is really, all caps, good in the nickel position. I think about 4 weeks ago or so, I said that I could see Jordan Hancock having a Shaun Wade kind of season, and I think he is. So good for him. I need to see more Mitchell Melton and Caden Curry on passing downs. Mitchell Melton, like every snap he took, I feel like he was landing in the backfield on the quarterback. So let's get him some reps. He looks healthy. He looks quick. Man, he looked fast. I was like, who? What? Oh, wow. Is kind of how that went on Saturday for me. So the D-line as a whole played much better. And quite honestly, Tyleik Williams has been incredible. He's been a force. I think he leads the defensive line with the most snaps in the season, over 50 snaps now. Boy, he looks like a one-man wrecking crew, and that touchdown celebration was phenomenal. Josh Proctor, what can I say? I didn't think much of him coming back because Jahad Carter came in as a transfer, and I don't know if it's like he's finally healthy. He's had 2 years under the same coordinators, and everything's finally clicking, or the light came on, or some combination of all of it. But he's playing really well so far, and he's had coverage snaps, and I think he's given up one completion for a total of 2 yards while he's been in coverage, and for Jermaine Matthews. He's such a nice kid. I got to meet him one time, and he's a really nice young man. And that pick six had me jumping for joy, quite honestly, because he's going to be the next one. He and Calvin Simpson hunt both, but Jermaine Matthews, he's the next one up, and he and Jair Brown need to get reps if and when they can. As many reps as they can to be ready for next year, because Denzel Burke will be gone. Jim Knowles, wow, deserves a ton of credit so far. I know he took a lot of heat last year after Maryland and Michigan and then Georgia, but the defense looks completely different from game 1 of last year to game 2 of this year, whether that's schematically or just the personnel that we have in the back end is just better, and everybody is healthy so far. If I had one slightly frustrating thing, I like the defense the way that it is. They're playing sound fundamental football, but I still need to see them get off the field on third down when they have an opportunity. The first few minutes of the game against Western Kentucky, I felt like we didn't get off the field a couple times when we could have. And again, that's defensive line getting pressure. So, that clearly affects the number of offensive possessions we have. If we get off the field on third down quicker, then the offense gets the football back. But I mean, I'm picking nits at that point. Overall, great game. In the realm of what we can control, can't control the officiating, we can't control the clock rules, but we can control getting first downs and stopping the other team from getting first downs. So that's going to do it for me today. Have a good week. I'll see you for Buckeye Friday. I'll be doing a preview of the top 10 matchup. Again, it's a Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And if you're wondering, and if it's ever been on your mind, yes, Rudy was offsides when he got that sack. Until Friday, stay safe, have a good week. Go Bucks.